Yeah, therefore, we called across Europe for hackathons. Groups define a challenge, will propose a solution by the end of our event. Here in Berlin, at the main stage, we connect all hackathon participants, and here's the place where we come together. Yeah, we've just met some of the participating hackathon teams before, and now we're going to have another calling-in session and get to know other participants and their challenges, which leads us first to Bulgaria and there to Nicolo. Hello, Nicolo.
Hello, everyone. I think it's probably me because Nicolo is behind with the screen. He will be sharing it. I'm Diana Philip. I'm the Deputy CEO of GA Europe.
Welcome, welcome. Very good. So, Diana, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your challenge and your work.
Sure. First of all, I'm very pleased to be here. I'm calling in from Brussels, but we have teams from across Europe who are managing this hackathon with us. And it's the first time that Junior Achievement, in partnership with Johnson & Johnson, is organizing an online hackathon.
Okay, so how many people are participating there?
Well, we have 10 teams, but we had 188 teams applying. So we did not expect that. We thought that, okay, 10 teams with so many things happening now, we will be hard to get. But in fact, thanks to the Johnson & Johnson support, we will have the 10 teams now for this hackathon, and we will do a second edition in January with 20 more teams. We thought that, considering the fact that it's such a nice excitement for it, we would like to really give the opportunity to more young people to participate in these initiatives.
Very good. And do you have like a favorite challenge?
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, we wanted them to really get together and solve a challenge. We call it a challenge, which we unveiled for them this morning. And the challenge was to come up with an innovative idea that will promote STEM and encourage more students to choose these subjects in their academic career. So we want to make STEM much more important and more interesting for young people, especially girls. Most of the participants in our hackathons are girls. So
right, very good.
They will be coming up with ideas on this challenge. They will present that to us tomorrow. And we really hope that one of these teams will dream big and they will win the European hackathon.
Okay, so we have here some light problems, but don't feel irritated, just go on.
So first of all, I also wanted to say where I come from, because I work for Junior Achievement, and we at Junior Achievement have been inspiring and preparing young people for the world of work for over 100 years now. Every year, 4 million young people are going through entrepreneurship, workforce readiness, financial literacy, combining them digitally and face-to-face, and we reach around 40,000 schools, working with 140,000 teachers and 100,000 business volunteers. I wanted to give a little bit of background to see who we are. Yeah. And even if we exist for such a long time, it's the first time we do it digitally. It's the first pan-European hackathon, and this was possible thanks to the collaboration with the European Commission. We really think that together we are indeed revolutionizing education by turning it digital, and also by focusing on priority areas such as the STEM skills. So thank you so much for having us be part of this big European movement.
Of course, of course. But maybe you can take us more backstage and show us more of work which happens right now and till tomorrow evening.
Indeed, and this is where my colleague Nicolo can share the screen, because we would like to zoom into one of the teams. So this is, as you see, the main stage for the event we are organizing together with Johnson & Johnson, and this is the mural of the team from Norway. Wow. So they are working on Zoom and Mural in order to come up with ideas and be ready with their business plan presentation tomorrow. So you see on the left-hand side the teams, the judges. Here is the Norwegian team. They have to really do a lot of ice-breaking to work through this session. You see the agenda there with everything that they need to go throughout the event. And then a group of facilitators and a group of mentors from Johnson & Johnson will be encouraging them to look at the STEM careers, to look at the STEM skills and opportunities, so that they can really open their mind for what they have to solve here. So you could see here that they are really coming up with cool ideas, and they are brainstorming. They are using this tool that for them, it's been the first time they use Mural. But they've been very creative. And to be honest, in just a few hours, they are very advanced. So we are very proud of them.
That's so well organized, Diana. Maybe you can tell us, so how long did it take to get a plan like this?
Well, we do have a big team of staff at the JA Europe level that is working for a couple of months now to put together this event. And we also have our partners from Johnson & Johnson, because for us, the link with the world of work is important. We would not be able to do it alone. We need the experts from the world of work to be able to mentor the young people. There is where the learning is happening, bridging this education and the world of work is where we make a difference. So they've been working with us hand in hand in the last months.
Please let me interrupt, Diana, but you say on the one side there are the experts, and on the other side there are like you and motivated young people and students who are working at the hackathon and the challenges. So if there are maybe a problem where you say, no, we have to go this way, and the experts say, no, it's this way, what are you doing?
Well, I think we will have to find a middle solution, and here they have all the tools that we are trying to really solve. But it is, in the end, the mentors is supposed to give us guidance to the young people, and they have to really hit the head themselves. If they see that there is a challenge, they need to find to solve it, because that's what all the learning is all about. The mentors are there to coach them, but the ideas are the ones of the young people.
Very, very exciting. And so what do you think, what do you expect then from this hackathon? What should be standing at the end?
Well, I do expect that all these young people who've been engaged, they will be for sure prepared for embracing STEM in their future career. So this is something we really wanted to achieve with this, to open their eyes to STEM skills and STEM careers. So I think we've already achieved some of that today, because we see them very engaged in the morning. But we also want to see some very cool ideas that we hope that maybe the European Commission can take forward, that some other organization can embrace. And why not? We want some of them to also win.
Yes, inspiration and attitude. This is really very, very important. Thank you very much for sharing your experience and your work with us, and greetings to Brussels and your team.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, and see you maybe tomorrow or maybe later on, I don't know. Now we have our next participant, so I'm like a little bit unsure because I don't know who it is. So I say hello, who's there?
So hello, guten Tag Berlin. Ich bin Sampo and I work at the teacher training school here in Joensuu, Finland. Very nice to be a part of the hackathon.
Oh, Sampo from Finland. That looks really very busy behind you. Who are the people?
Well, we are here with the 5th and 6th grade students. So we have 11 teams working very eagerly on actually 2 challenges. So one is to do with coding. So we started with our Lego education. So they have Spike Prime sets. And now they're having their hands-on session learning how to use the technology. And in a couple of minutes, we'll introduce our coding challenge. So coding is one of the key tasks. And another one, which we have set to the students, is to do with learning experiences. So they are, besides this coding challenge, they have the challenge of making an immersive learning experience. How and what are the things that they would like to school or the learning experiences to be in the school that are of meaning and of course are of value to them. So in that we'll use co-design methods.
Sampo, I really love the idea working with young people. So whose idea was it?
Well, I'm also part of the Future Classroom Lab, so I think it was Bart or Ariana or some from the network that, you know, they're really looking for kids to take part in such events. And of course, it was easy for me to organize being at the university. And we have the kids and we have the student trainers and we have the teachers such as me and Matthias who are taking care of this event. So it's a pleasure hosting such a thing, and we'll be here until the end of the evening, and then I'll let the kids go home.
Yeah, very good. But I think it's a challenge to find the right balance between guiding these young children and also let them go.
Well, that's true. And of course, to provide enough tools that they will be able to innovate by themselves. So it's not just giving instructions and such, but giving a few tools to enhance their ideas of how to do things. So that's something we, of course, try to find a good balance.
Sampo, to be honest with you, I've, maybe 3 months ago, I've never heard of hackathons. I don't know. So earlier we talked to the Aalto University, and they told us, well, they have so much experience, of course, because of last year Digi EduHack at the Aalto University. What about these young children behind you? Do they know a long time for hackathons, and are they really into it?
Well, this is the first one, and for them, and actually they asked, what does it mean? Are we going to hack something? So we'll just probably hack with their minds and their innovative skills. But it's the first one for them, and from the buzz you see behind us, I think it's certainly not going to be the last one.
Yeah, that seems to be very, very busy and enthusiastic. So how many are participating on this particular challenge?
Well, in this challenge we have 22 students, and so we formed groups of them or just pairs, so everyone has enough to do. So it's 11 teams, and they will be documenting both of these challenges I explained. So hopefully we'll be able to download what the kids have come up with today. So we'll do that tomorrow.
So again, to the challenge, because you were talking about coding, what exactly are you coding?
Well, we're coding with Lego Spike Primes, and we started with how to use the motors and how to use the sensors and such, and then we'll introduce our challenge to them. They have a few they can choose from, but it has to do with keeping safe distances and then picking up some, so they have to add both the motors and sensors and think of come up with a solution that answers a couple of problems.
And you as a teacher, can you implant this to all Finnish pupils and students?
Well, this course they're taking is voluntary, but of course we have coding in our what's that called, in the
Just say it in your language, in Finnish, because I understand Finnish.
Okay, opetussuunnitelma, international curriculum.
So in German, Lehrplan. Yeah, okay.
Lehrplan, stimmt. So of course there's so much technology involved. What is good, what is bad? So some things we try to do with. But of course, if the kids are able to code and see what is happening, so that's important. And of course, the really big one is the 21st century skills. Is this technology building the right things or making good things happen? So cooperation and communication, and of course that kind of things. And of course, innovation as one of the key factors. So I would say if we had the technology in all schools, we would be able to teach the teachers to take this into their classes. But sadly, of course, not every classroom has the sets.
We were talking today to really a lot of people, to different nationalities, and we want to get out also the differences between the culture, the differences of work in the different cultures. So do you believe that there is a Finnish way of doing hackathons?
Well, I wouldn't be the expert in saying the Finnish way of doing the hackathons. I guess we have the Finnish way of learning, and us teachers are quite key players in that. So we have quite good self-esteem in the things that happen in the classes. But I guess you'd have to talk to the other Finnish experts who are coming on later about the hackathons. We try to provide, so I think, I ordered some Coke and pizza later on, so I guess that's something that may be like a global.
They need also a little bit of motivation, your kids. Sampo, it was very exciting talking to you. Say hi to your kids, and all the best for you.
Thank you, Gleifason. Very good. Pleasure to be part, and very good luck with the future activities, and good luck to all the teams.
What do you say in Finland when you say goodbye?
We can say näkemiin, hei hei.
Näkemiin, hei hei.
Näkemiin. Yeah, moi moi.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So that was Finland, and now we switch to Italy, to be more specific, to Turin, and there's Franco Bollo. Hello, Franco.
Hello. I have to correct you in 2 points. We are in Padova, not in Turin. Padova is a city not far from Venice. We are University School of Engineering.
Okay, near Venice. Okay.
My name is Franco Bonollo.
Oh.
I'm the president of the School of Engineering in Padova, which is one of the largest in Italy with 14,000 students.
Okay, then please introduce yourself. Sorry for that.
Yeah, okay. I am a professor of metallurgy in Padova University. Since 2018, I am coordinating our School of Engineering.
I see. So maybe you can also tell us more about your challenge and what your students are working on.
Yes, I can share my screen and show a couple of things about our activities. I hope you are seeing now.
Yes, we see.
Okay, so our topic is digital learning innovation, and this topic that we tried to approach involving several persons. Our group of persons working in the field today is 48 persons, coming from 14 countries, which is quite nice for us.
Wow.
Obviously, most part of them is from Italy, but we have also Germany, Norway, Nigeria, Spain. So it's a very good mixture of peoples from cultures. And also the other point, which is, I think, quite peculiar for our work, is to have different profiles, because our starting idea, and which was then applied in this hackathon, was that of not having only students or young persons, but having a mixture of students, obviously, also of researchers, educational professionals, teachers or educators, innovators. So we have a well-balanced set of profiles which are devoted to approaching the topic of obviously of digital learning on 2 viewpoints. One is the viewpoint of the university higher education approach, so how digital innovation can be implemented into university course in terms of new tools, new approaches, and so on. And the other topic is referred to the professional learning, lifelong learning, which is a very relevant and I think fundamental approach for what concerns the development of industrial revolution. And obviously, we have to take to consider the problem of the COVID emergency, and digital learning is becoming more and more important also in this situation.
That what I was asking for. That seemed also very, very well organized, what I saw so far. So there was a boost with the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Maybe you can describe to all our viewers what happened in Italy, also referring to hackathons.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, we had the chance of having this hackathon fully online. We had a good connection. We tried to involve our friends and partners from different institutions, and obviously we take advantage from the organization of this event. I am very happy of being part of this event. It's the first time for us, and it has been really challenging and interesting for us of being involved. And obviously we managed all the event by means of the conventional, let me say, tools for online activities, so from Zoom platform or from Moodle for sharing the contents and the documents with our colleagues and partners. And our participants are now still discussing some solutions, and what the real good point of this morning was that even if we consider when we started separately university and lifelong learning, at the end the problems are similar. So I think we will discuss mainly about two families of solutions in the groups. One about the, let me say, organizational, structural, certification point of view for what concerns the education, university and lifelong learning on one side. And the other is more related to the motivations, how to motivate students, how to find the good approaches for having nice online lessons, not boring, and how to increase the attractiveness of these tools. We have here in our groups several players in the field, professional, but also students. So I think from this mixture we can find a good solution and inputs for the topic.
Professore, that was really very exciting insights. Thank you very much, and all the best and success for your team, and maybe one or the other long-term project will come out. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Bye-bye to Italy.
Bye.